So hello, coming back down from the global level to the local level. So I'm here for Brussels, not the city of Brussels, but the region. So we're not part of the Covenant of Mayors, I think, but we're a region. And for instance, we have a very good collaboration with the city of Chengdu that we talked about before, and also Beijing and Shenzhen and Hong Kong. Of course, a difference between Chinese cities and Brussels is that we don't have the same power of politics as they have. So, like he said in Chengdu, if they decide we will reduce our emissions of 30% in 5 years, they can just imply it, and then everyone has to follow the rules. In Belgium and in Brussels, it's a bit more complicated. We have a lot of stakeholders, but we try to have our contribution to climate change on the local level. And for instance, I want to talk to you a little bit about improvement of the canal zone, which is the first slides there, which is not primarily aimed to climate change, but to the renovation of a whole neighborhood that used to be an old industrial belt, let's say, of Brussels along the canal. And now the government has decided to put a lot of subsidies in there to integrate work and living, cultural functions, design, and circular economy. So that's one of the major leading projects in the city that will lead to better living conditions and also more jobs for the people in Brussels. The second example that's on the slide is the pedestrian zone in the center, the biggest pedestrian zone in Europe at the moment. We could say that as a first result of it, that the quality of the air must at least have improved because there are no cars anymore. But even that is not measurable at the moment. So the measure instruments are not installed yet, and they cannot even compare it to the situation of 2 years ago because they don't know the situation. We have figures about the air pollution in the whole of Brussels, but not in this area, for instance. And then another example, we couldn't call really climate change, but we have initiatives that are supported by the region, like our Eat Brussels Festival, for instance, where we invite all our partner regions in the world, and they come to sample their cuisine, and that's part of the good food initiatives in Brussels. So there's three projects that I want to concentrate on. Be Circular is our website about circular economy in Brussels. There's a pedestrian zone, which is linked to the mobility plan in Brussels, and there's the good food strategy. About mobility, we have a new plan for transportation of goods, which won an award called some Sustainable Urban Mobility Planning Award from the European Commission. Actually, that's a project that aims at transferring goods from big lorries into smaller electrical vehicles that would be used in the city center. I also talked about the canal zone. There's also a lot of green buildings that will be built or rebuilt there. An example of this is in the abattoir in Anderlecht, where they have a food market, which will have urban farming on the roof of it, and they will have a restaurant there also, so they will use the vegetables that they grow on the roof and in greenhouses there. But that's only one example of buildings there. They will rebuild the whole site there of the old slaughterhouses to be a new area of development. in the good food area. There's a lot of small initiatives that are subsidized by the region. So we don't work with plans from above and deciding big changes, but we ask local organizations to enter projects. When they are selected, they get subsidies. In the pedestrian zone also we work together with other cities in Europe to improve this project and also see what they do to exchange good practices in this field. So we're also part of a lot of networks between cities where also these initiatives are compared and discussed. As to the regional program for circular economy, it was launched in 2016 actually, and we got the Regional Innovation Award from the Assembly of European Regions. I just want to stress a little bit on this. So the plan was implemented in 2016, and we have a budget of around 13 million euros per year. The objectives are to transform our environmental objectives into economic opportunities. So that's why you see the canal zone plan coming up. Also to relocate economies to Brussels in order to produce locally where possible, to reduce travel and commuting, optimize land use and create added values for the inhabitants. And the end of the project is to create employment. So for 2016 there were more than 100 measures in 4 strategic areas, which is cross-functional with favorable regulatory framework, direct and indirect aid to projects, innovation, procurement contracts and employment. There are sector-based measures in construction, in resources, waste, in trade, logistics and food. There's territorial measures. Of course, Brussels is limited to its small territory. And then also governance measures aimed at cooperation between administrations. For instance, also, the Brussels region is the only region in the world, as I know, that has a law that obliges people companies who build new buildings to have them built sustainably, so they have to be energy neutral. To give you some examples of the cooperations we have with other cities in the world, Brussels Capital Region was the finalist in Guangzhou in China in the National Award for Urban Innovation, and actually some people of this organization are coming to Brussels tomorrow and not the day after tomorrow to visit all our projects, so like the abattoir, like the canal zone, and they want to be inspired by what we do here. As I said, Oslo organized a conference here about car-free centers. We also work together with Shanghai, Shenzhen, Beijing, Xi'an, and Sichuan, so Chengdu in China. And the International Society of City and Region Planners, ISOCARP, recently awarded the first prize for excellence in urban planning initiatives to the Brussels Capital Region. You see that in Brussels we work with small plans actually that are implemented through local associations actually. We don't have a centralized plan for everything, but we use the initiatives that exist in the city and we try to support them. So if you have any questions to me about this, you're welcome.
Any questions? Yes. Two questions.
What is the nature of your cooperation with Chinese cities?
Well, they're quite general. We have cooperation agreements with all those cities, and sometimes they exist for more than over 20 years already. So the teams can evolve in time. Mostly in the beginning, it's just a general agreement about friendship relations and working together for economy. But of course, climate change is coming into the picture. And 2 days we have the delegation from Guangzhou now. On 22nd of June we'll have a delegation from Shanghai also, from the Commission of Urban Planning of Shanghai, who are interested in all techniques that we use here for sustainable buildings, passive buildings, which they want to implement also in Brussels. But that's also linked to economy, of course. Like last year, we went to Shanghai with a delegation of Brussels companies who are specialized in these techniques, and they went to talk to this institution. And so now these people come here to Brussels and also to other cities in Europe, I suppose, to see what is done here. We also have a lot of architects from Brussels who are getting well known in China, who can design these kind of green buildings.
Can you maybe share a concrete example of what you've seen in China or what has inspired you and that you've applied here in Brussels?
I wouldn't say an example. I always tell people that the thing that strikes me in China is the energy that they have. When you come there in Shanghai or in other cities, everything's moving, and you sense that they want to do something. They in every field that they want to move on and to construct things. When you go there, you feel the energy that's in the whole country, and then these people, they want to move on.
Thank you very much.